Harassment in the workplace in Pennsylvania is a very serious condition. It can be implemented or take place in a number of different ways. It can be based on gender, it can be based on age, it can be based on particular bullying conduct, and it takes many forms. It can be also in the terms of the way in which some individual is treated as to whether they're being bullied or they believe they're being bullied. The best way for you as an employer to deal with these particular issues is to have a process, and the process should be laid out in your particular handbook and known to all of the individuals in your company as to what to do in this particular situation. And that is, you have to encourage the employees, educate them as to the process of reporting the harassment. A lot of times what they'll do is the employee will say, well, I'm afraid because it came from a supervisor. I'm afraid because it may affect my job. And the two factors involved in that is, one, you want to encourage them to do so because you want the conduct to stop. And you don't want the conduct to get worse where it ends up in a litigation where that employee says you didn't do anything about this conduct and you knew about the conduct. So what you should establish is a process, one, where the process is, one, confidential, and two, it's reported to somebody who is not involved in harassment. This can be difficult when the individual is a supervisor or the owner of the company. So what you have to do is establish a process that says, this individual, who I deem to be neutral, it could be your HR representative, it could also be somebody else that has some involvement with employees, a supervisor of some kind, that says, okay, I can go to them. I can go to them on a confidential basis, and I can say to them, Joe is harassing me. It could be either bullying conduct, it could be sexual harassment in the terms of the way in which they speak to them, maybe inappropriate approaches to them with regard to request, or it can just be statements. And that reporting process then takes a separate course of action. It becomes, you have an obligation to investigate it, which means that you then are, one, it's confidential, and two, you investigate it by talking to the one who makes the complaint, and then any witnesses that that individual says, this is who also knows about this, and they overheard it, or they saw it, or anything of that nature that would support the claim. Once you've done your investigation, and the key from your point of view is to document the investigation in a separate file and say, okay, I've investigated this and I have found from this investigation that the merits are true. And as a result of that, I then have to take some steps to discipline that employee. If you fail to do so, you're going to be subject to further litigation by that employee, because what she's going to say is, he or she may say, you've made my workplace uncomfortable. I cannot come to work on a daily basis. I am emotionally upset, and I am going to see my psychologist or my doctor because I've had certain symptoms associated with this, and I really can't come to work because of these conditions. If that's the case, they're going to make a claim that says you should pay them for when they can't work. So at that point in time, you want to make sure that you've got a remedy that deals with the offender and a remedy that deals with the individual that has been hurt. And it's in your best interest to do this, because once somebody gets bullied or harassed, it spreads through the workplace and everybody kind of knows about it and how they're being treated, and it makes for an unhappy workplace. And so deal with it. It's sometimes unpleasant, but the best thing to do is have a procedure, report it, and deal with it and take care of it.